Hi, this is Andrew from Hotel Products Direct. Welcome back. Holy shit. Today we're going to debunk the 10 most common myths that have to do with hotel and commercial bed linen. So thanks for joining me today. I've got a list of questions I've compiled from some of our customers all over the country. And we're going to start with the number one question that's always been asked, probably the most common one. This first up, we have Karen from Redfern. She says, is higher thread count always better quality? And that's a very good question because it's one of the strongest myths in the industry. Higher thread count is not an indicator of higher quality linen. Now, there's many reasons why this myth came about, but when you're talking about commercial bed linen, super high thread count, 500, 1,000, or even worse, 2,000, is exactly what you don't want because it's not going to go through the commercial laundering process. It doesn't have the strength or the durability to last. And if you start using it, you're going to get pilling. And pilling is when the small threads break and they pull back down the seam and they give that ball-in effect. Once that starts happening, it's irreversible. You can't reverse it. It means the sheet is already on its last legs and it's ready to be thrown. Now, if you're a person who happens to desire a high thread count, then you're going to have to wash at home in a domestic washing machine. You're going to have to do it by hand, and you're going to have to accept that it's not going to have a very long lifespan. Probably 50 washes, that would be about it, and sometimes even less. With commercial linen, we go for thick threads, heavy threads, strong threads. 180 GSM is probably the top end of the commercial linen. Anything from 120 to 180 is good. High thread count linen is usually 80 to 120. It isn't that great. Question number 2 comes from Jason from Accor. He says, is 100% cotton always a better material? Well, not always. It depends what the use of the linen is for. If you're running holiday or commercial properties for accommodation, then you've got linen and textiles that need a lot of washing. So your sheet's going to be washed maybe twice a week, maybe more. If you're in a far north Queensland area where it's tropical climate or any other tropical climate where humidity is very high, 100% cotton can be a better choice because of its super high absorbency factor. But for the most part, most properties across Australia, let's say from Brisbane down, would probably benefit the most from using 50-50 polycotton elegance bed sheeting. Next question we have, number 3, is Cherie from Mount Isa. She asks, does shrinkage happen evenly? No, it doesn't. And that's a very good question. Many people think that a sheet will shrink evenly from all directions. It doesn't. Depending on the mix of the poly and the cotton will depend on how the sheet shrinks. So if you happen to have shrunk a sheet by putting it through a super hot drying machine, or you've tried to what's called dry iron a sheet, which is when you iron it when it's wet, then it's most likely the polyester component will shrink first, meaning the sheet will shrink in one direction but not in both directions at once. It's also a really good telltale sign that you're not doing the laundering process right, because you shouldn't be getting sheet shrinkage if you're doing it right. Question number 4, Naveen from Port Douglas asks, if sheets shrink, are they useless? Well, not at all. Now, one of the funny things is a lot of people have double beds, but they use queen bed flat sheets because there's nothing wrong with a bit of extra tuck-in. So if you have a queen bed or a king bed flat sheet and it's had a bit of shrinkage, you can always use it on the next size down. That way you'll maintain the amount of tuck-in you need to use that sheet. Fitted sheets, on the other hand, can be a little bit trickier because a fitted sheet needs to have the corners fit. 5th question, Jacinta from Adelaide Hills asks, flat sheets are problem-free, right? Well, largely a flat sheet is problem-free, but we are into a few problems out there in the mattress world where manufacturers are making mattresses which are thicker and thicker. Some mattresses have 50 or more centimetres on the side. Now, originally, 30 years ago, most mattresses are 25 centimetres in height, so now we're using an extra half metre of fabric to get around the whole mattress. That means you get less tuck-in on a standard Australian sheet size. But largely flat sheets are less problematic. They're certainly easy to fold and they're certainly easy to put away, which is why you find most hotels, especially the big ones, only use flat sheets. They don't use fitted sheets. They use a 3-sheet bedding method, and that way they can wash, fold and stack the sheets quick and easy. Question number 6, Raymond from Malakuta asks, is commercial laundering just bigger home washing? No, far from it. Commercial laundering is a completely different process. The machines are bigger, the iron is bigger, they're automated, they use more chemicals and different components. So it's a different type of setup, and in many ways it's a lot easier for you because you can just put it in a bag and send it off to commercial laundry, but it is going to give the sheeting a bit more of a battering, and that means if you've got high thread count sheets, they're probably not going to do well using a commercial laundry. 7. John from Royal Hotel asks, should luxury linen be heavy? Well, generally speaking, it depends what you refer to as luxury linen. In the commercial world, luxury linen is thick, heavyweight linen, which has high absorbency and breathes well. It doesn't stretch out of shape and it doesn't pill. But some people, if you're talking about luxury in the retail market, many people like the crinkly flax style linen where the sheets appear to be crumpled, and that just happens to be a personal preference. Number 8, Helen from the Central Coast, she asks, do coloured sheets hide marks long term? Oh, this is a great one. Just like the high thread count myth, the coloured sheet myth is right out there with it. Many people, especially who are new in the industry, come in thinking they're going to get grey or crew coloured sheets. It's going to hide the marks and the sheets are going to last longer. Nothing could be further from the truth. The more you launder a sheet, the more faded it becomes. If you're not using white linen, then your sheets and pillowcases are all going to fade. What happens when you need to add a couple to the set because one went missing, one got burnt, one got torn, whatever? The new sheets, if they're coloured, are going to look a lot stronger. And now your beds are going to look patchy. Far better to use white. Don't go for coloured. Colour is not what you want if you're in the luxury accommodation market. Number 9, Richard from Broome asks, can we use retail linen in Airbnbs? Well, you can use it if you want, but no, you really shouldn't, because retail linen isn't made for being washed 2 to 3 times a week. It's got a much shorter lifespan, and if you do use it, then you're probably going to be wanting to replace it not long after you've paid all that good high price for doing it. A commercial sheet that does 400 or 500 washes, or some up to 700, dollar for dollar, is going to outperform not just on cost, but on quality as well. Finally, 10th, the final question for today in Holy Sheet is from Natalia from Mansfield, and she says, is it the supplier's fault when linen fails? Well, that's a really good question. So remember, linen largely is an organic product. It's made from plants, just like food. And if you overbake it, if you make it too high, it will falter. It doesn't matter how good the brand is. If you turn the temperature up too high, you can kill it. Also, if you don't launder it correctly, one of the other great problems is people placing bleach into a machine in the incorrect method and burning the sheet with chemical. So it's not the manufacturer's fault if you're not caring for your linens in the correct method. You should always follow the instructions, and if you don't know how, then ring up Hotel Products Direct because we know how and we'll give you the best advice. Okay, thanks for joining me today. It'll be really great if you can hit the like button, hit the subscribe down below. We've got more content coming up with future videos. We've got special products coming to Australia, and you're only going to find out about them if you keep watching this channel. So we look forward to seeing you again. Hit that like button. Ding, ding. Thanks for joining me today.